Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star Part 298 based on novel. So let's start. The mountain range, lake, and wooden house were all suspended in the air. With it as the center, everything within the vast space and spread around its surroundings fell within its area of control. This mountain, lake, and wooden house. The greatest area under the influence of its control was a diameter as wide as 1 light year. How vast this region was! And within this region, a single thought could execute the power of a 6th tier as the top level. The various universe masters were all in awe. Impressive. Simply too impressive. In the primal universe, it is even more powerful than a supreme true treasure. The only downside of it is that controlling it is a tad more complex. It requires both bodies of Primal Chaos City Leader to control it together. A simplified miniature universe? How did Teacher Origin achieve that? I cannot fathom it. I simply cannot fathom any of it. Indeed, that's Teacher Origin for you. Only Teacher Origin can create a virtual universe, which has reached a stupefying level on the way the universe revolves. I suppose this must be the reason why he can create this unique treasure, Palm Universe. The part of time and space that was under the influence of this Palm Universe was completely isolated from the outside world. All the universe masters were shocked yet intoxicated by what they saw. Luo Feng. Luo Feng? Suddenly, someone realized that there was something not quite right with Luo Feng. Earlier, he was still smiling, but later, he shut his eyes and his entire being started to exude a strange aura. Do not disturb Luo Feng. Darkness Master immediately shouted to stop the others. Within the human race, the majority were not aware that Luo Feng was merely a universe knight. But Darkness Master knew. Could it be that he was going to achieve a breakthrough soon? Darkness Master wondered to himself. Not only him, Primal Chaos City Leader, who was standing above a lake quite a distance away, also saw the seemingly unique state that Luo Feng was in. In his heart, he could not help looking forward with much eagerness. This disciple of mine is going to have a breakthrough soon. Luo Feng was already capable of creating secret techniques at a Universe Supreme Master level, and his law comprehension had already reached the ultimate limit of its bottleneck, whereby he had comprehended Heart of Beast God long ago. He could be said to have met the various expectations, and his avatar was consistently cultivating in a cultivation space within the space of inheritance. With a rate of 10,000 times of time velocity, he had been cultivating for many years. What Luo Feng had accumulated was more than abundant. So even if he was slower, upon enduring a few more years in the outside world, he would be able to break through, that was for sure. If he was fast, the breakthrough could be any time. This breakthrough. It could occur at a time when he was getting emotional or feeling touched or just looking at the revolving, starlit sky or even in a life or death battle. In short, no one knew when it would happen because at any point in time, with a little touch of his gifted talent, he might be enlightened and thus be able to achieve the breakthrough. Palm Universe was a unique treasure. Luo Feng could not comprehend Wu Wings and the Boat of Mausoleum because they were both too profound. However, Palm Universe was very close by. Since he could create a secret technique at a Universe Supreme Master level and what this Palm Universe contained was also at the ultimate limit of a Universe Supreme Master, Luo Feng could, therefore, vaguely comprehend it. Just one touch of this Palm Universe, and the bottleneck that he was stuck at for so long seemed to disappear soundlessly. He had, thus, broken through this bottleneck. Luo Feng suddenly opened his eyes. Teacher. Primal Chaos City Leader looked over. Teacher and disciple exchanged glances, and mutual understanding traversed the space between them. The look of excitement on Primal Chaos City Leader's face was hard to conceal. This disciple of his was beyond formidable. Even though he had yet to achieve his breakthrough, he was already so powerful. Once he achieved his breakthrough, he would be a great help in the final battle that was drawing close. I will first make a trip out, Luo Feng said. Go. Primal Chaos City Leader nodded. At the same time, he stopped the execution of Palm Universe right away for Luo Feng to exit. With a single teleportation, Luo Feng disappeared wordlessly. Luo Feng's God country was so endlessly vast that it could be described as inexhaustible. The endless remote ocean was always filled with ripples, and even without any wind, it had waves that rose up to 3 feet high. This endless remote ocean stretched over a diameter of 80 billion kilometers. It was deep and vast, and its normal waves were so big that they were astounding. With this endless remote ocean, together with the additional support from his God country, even if other universe supreme masters were to barge their way in, they would be in for a great loss. The God country that was originally peaceful underwent a change. Just as Luo Feng broke through the bottleneck while he was inside the boat of Mausoleum, the origin laws of the primal universe fell right away. An endless oppressive force enveloped the entire God country. The endless remote ocean that was originally considerably peaceful was suddenly surging with mighty waves. Amidst the endless remote ocean, a figure suddenly emerged. This was Remote Ocean Body. It was looking up into the sky where immeasurably huge, black and white whirlpools were appearing. These rotating whirlpools were enormous, and they carried with them an inexhaustible amount of power. Upon discovering his breakthrough, Luo Feng destroyed his previous remote ocean body and bred a new one right away. It was the fastest method to get back to God country. Breakthrough. Luo Feng's remote ocean body teleported out into the sky beyond the edge of the entire remote ocean in a flash. This tremendous momentum is so imposing. Luo Feng looked up into the sky to see that huge whirlpool which had a diameter greater than tens of billions of kilometers. This was different from the previous 5-colored whirlpool that had appeared when he achieved his breakthrough to become a universe knight. This time, it was composed of alternating black and white ones. Within a large black whirlpool, there was a white one, and within this white one, there was another black one. Black whirlpool, then white whirlpool. Black whirlpool, then white whirlpool. Round after round. While exuding a formidable oppressive force, there was a passageway at the center of this huge whirlpool. It was the link between the universe law ocean and Luo Feng's God country. The critical moment. Luo Feng suddenly understood what was happening. It was the most critical moment of his breakthrough, the swallowing of godly power. The endless remote ocean was massive. To increase his godly power, he would need a long time, and the bigger his godly body, the stronger the ability to recover. Even if a universe master were to self-destruct suddenly, the speed at which his godly power was consumed during this instant self-destruction was nothing compared to the speed of auto-recovery of remote ocean. The greater the volume, the greater the power. As a result, the speed of recovery would be even more alarming. This was why the endless remote ocean progressed at a very slow pace during its initial stage of growth. For its diameter to double from 10 billion kilometers to 20 billion kilometers, a long time was required. For the diameter to expand from 20 billion kilometers to 80 billion kilometers, it would be much faster. But when the latter was compared to the speed attainable in future expansions, it was still considered to be much slower. Further down the road, the speed would soar to a figure that was exponentially faster. That was how 9 Remoteness Master had been able to create that massive 9 Remoteness Ocean. Luo Feng was about to become a Universe Master. His endless remote ocean was still far inferior to 9 Remoteness Ocean. Therefore, Luo Feng would cherish this opportunity even more. The time for swallowing godly power is limited, Luo Feng said to himself. The swallowing must occur at the most efficient rate possible. From the alternating black and white circles that were intertwined at the center of the whirlpool, that whirlpool passageway with a diameter of few tens of billions of kilometers was pouring out ocean water that was empowered by a formidable godly power. Torrential ocean waters surged out in a frenzied manner. Like an ocean collapsing, the water poured out at a speed so fast that it was simply terrifying. Compared to when Luo Feng achieved a breakthrough to become a Universe Knight, everything was much faster this time around. Inhale, suck, absorb. Luo Feng used his willpower to the best of his ability and tried hard to control his endless remote ocean. He was absorbing like crazy, and the transformation took place immediately. His godly power that was originally 10,000 times the life genes of Night soared up 100 times to hit a godly level of 10,000 times life genes, a Universe Master level. Swallow, then transform. The rate at which that whirlpool passageway was pouring out godly power empowered the ocean water totally in sync with the rate at which Luo Feng's endless remote ocean absorbed it. The faster he absorbed, the faster the pouring of ocean water would be. Transform. 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 Luo Feng was doing his best to keep everything, and he also noticed that after his willpower got stronger, it brought him more benefits. The powerful willpower also greatly increased the efficiency of the transformation happening under his control. But no matter how great the increase was, it was still not enough. A moment later, peace and quiet resumed in the God country. The oppressive force of the primal universe origin laws was gone, and for a short moment, Luo Feng could swallow godly power to his heart's content. My endless remote ocean has a diameter of 80 billion kilometers. Luo Feng stood in the sky above the remote ocean. Just a while ago, the godly power transformed reached around 15% of the size of my endless remote ocean. Luo Feng estimated that the entire remote ocean must have had an approximate diameter of 80 billion kilometers, of which, more than 40 billion kilometers along its whole diameter was successfully transformed. That was approximately 15% of its entirety. In terms of efficiency, this rate was considered high. After all, the endless remote ocean was massive. When I became a universe knight previously, the rate of transformation was 12%. This time around, the rate has increased a little. I was lucky that my willpower also reached a breakthrough point. If my willpower had not reached the level of a universe supreme master, I'm afraid the transformation of godly power this time around would have been far lesser. Luo Feng continued his descent. He sank down into the endless remote ocean, where his body naturally fell apart and blended into the remote ocean. Soon, a new remote ocean body was formed within the endless remote ocean. This remote ocean body was a lofty figure that was close to 10,000 kilometers tall. Its godly power was 1,000 times that of a universe master life gene level, and it was also 10 times higher than the godly power of Luo Feng himself when he was still at the universe knight level. The entire endless remote ocean was still resonating with the faraway universe origin law ocean, absorbing its godly power and trying hard to transform the entire remote ocean. The only pity was that now, the speed had slowed down considerably compared to before. 3 light rays appeared at the same time within his god country and transformed into 3 streaks of light high up in the sky. They flew about freely. Bouts of godly power rapidly shot out from the remote ocean below to quickly envelop the 3 godly bodies within their influence. These 3 godly bodies were none other than the original earthling body, golden-horned beast body, and Mosha body. In an instant, the 3 godly bodies started to transform. The original earthling body and golden-horned beast body's godly powers soared to 100 times, reaching a godly power level of 10,000 times that of a universe master life gene. Mosha body's godly power also soared by 100 times, reaching a godly power level of 100 times that of a universe master life gene. My Mosha body, in terms of godly power, is comparable to my previous original body. The original earthling body, golden-horned beast body, Mosha body, and remote ocean body were all full of fighting spirit. His original earthling body and golden-horned beast body, with their pinnacle true treasure in hand, could both display an outburst of combat power up to the 6th tier as the top level. Mosha body, with its blood ghost blade, would also be able to display an outburst of combat power up to the 6th tier. Remote ocean body was equipped with even more methods. Now, I have to address 2 things. For different bodies of Luo Feng flew to the core of his god country. At the public square before his godly palace, the 4 bodies found scattered spots to settle down, where golden-horned beast body lay sprawled on the ground. The first thing will be my Mosha body, Luo Feng whispered. After becoming a universe master, the bottleneck of 100 times life genes will no longer be imposed on my Mosha body, which means I can bring the increase to as high as 1,000 times life level or even 10,000 times of life level. Regarding the materials required to increase the life genes, I have already prepared them all. His Mosha body was not a flesh and blood life form, so it could not cultivate the 9-volume manual. Just like any ordinary universe master, it had to reach the level of a universe master before its current 100 times life gene level could increase further. The second thing will be my god country. If I achieve a breakthrough to become a universe master, my god country will become even more complete. Luo Feng looked at his own vast god country. At that moment, his god country was slowly transforming. The expansion of its area was secondary. More importantly, the structure was beginning to stabilize toward an ultimate limit. Once the perfect transformation was completed this time around, the next breakthrough would be that of his god country's miniature universe, which meant that this time, it was already the ultimate level of his god country. Human territory, primal secret region, Freedom Alliance, Ancestral God School, Space Beast Alliance, Lone Universe Supreme Masters. Primal Chaos City leader stood against the railing and looked at Thousand Treasures River. They're all waiting for our response, and they want to know more information about how to become a Universe Supreme Master and a Limit Universe Supreme Master. If we actually give them that, the inheritance of the ancient civilization will be widespread. Then all the powers will know about it. Why did Luo Feng even strive for it in the first place? It was indeed difficult for Primal Chaos City leader. The inheritance of ancient civilization was divided into two parts. The first part was to cultivate the weaker beings into Universe Masters more efficiently, and the second part was to cultivate Universe Masters into Universe Supreme Masters or even limit Universe Supreme Master. The powers wanted the second part. However, humans needed territories to boom, so it would be good for the humans if they had hundreds of Universe Masters. If they didn't have enough territories, 100 was a good amount. There were already around 1,000 Universe Masters from other powers, and once they had the inheritance, there would be more and more Universe Supreme Masters. Some might even become as powerful as Teacher Origin. Then the inheritance would make no difference to the humans. In that case, other races would reap the benefit. We might as well just fight them. Don't even think about getting the inheritance, not even a little bit, thought Primal Chaos City leader. Even if we go back to the Primal Universe, Luo Feng will have much more power after becoming a Universe Master. All his bodies have power at top tier level 6, and that so-called alliance won't be together forever. Luo Feng's 4 bodies, Peng Gong, Darkness, and me. We can totally make the humans great again. We'll only be weak for a while. Then we'll thrive again. Just as Primal Chaos City leader was thinking, a being walked down the hallway. He wore a white cape, which made Primal Chaos City leader's eyes gleam. Luo Feng. Primal Chaos City leader said. Teacher. The man in the distance looked up, took a step, and walked to beside Primal Chaos City leader. Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng and nodded contently. Breakthrough, he asked. Luo Feng had a smile on his face. Yes. He was indeed happy. Both his original Earthling body and Golden Horned Beast body had reached the limit godly power of a Universe Master. Even Universe Supreme Masters couldn't wield power greater than him in Universe Ocean, which meant these two bodies were not weaker than anyone. As for Mosha body, its life gene level had reached more than 3,000 times, and his godly body was 10,000 kilometers tall. However, it was difficult for Mosha body to reach the perfect life gene level now. After all, Mosha body needed many precious valuables to improve its life gene level, but it didn't have much in storage. However, a life gene level at more than 3,000 times had already made Mosha body incredibly powerful. Remote Ocean body was the weakest at 1,000 times of life gene level but was still much stronger than before. For what was worth, they were all able to wield power at top tier level 6 in the original universe. In Universe Ocean, Luo Feng was much stronger, especially with his technique. Duan Mie, which meant Luo Feng already stood among the top-tier beings both in the original universe and Universe Ocean. Even if he was weaker in laws, he could make up for it with his Blood Shadow Blade and Duan Mie, the technique left by the 3 ancestral teachers. Fantastic. Primal Chaos City leader nodded. Wonderful. Teacher, I can tell you're worried. Is it about the upcoming final war? Asked Luo Feng. Primal Chaos City leader sighed. How could I not be worried? The Freedom Alliance formed so suddenly and already has much more bargaining power. They're waiting for our response. The Ancestral God School, the Space Beast Alliance, and the Lone Universe Supreme Masters have all come to us and named their terms, and are waiting for our response. What do you want to do, teacher? asked Luo Feng. If we say yes to them and give them all the inheritance, they'll be the ones who gain the most, so what would be the point of us going through all this effort? We might as well just fight them, and if we lose, we'll just return to the primal universe. If anyone dares to destroy the human territory, we'll destroy their territory with Boat of Mausoleum as well. It's better to give them all the inheritance. Luo Feng nodded and said, Teacher, I have an idea. An idea? Primal Chaos City leader gazed at Luo Feng. Teacher, I've become much stronger after becoming a universe master, especially my remote ocean body. Luo Feng started to elaborate on his plan, and Primal Chaos City leader's eyes gleamed as he listened. After a while, Luo Feng finished describing his idea. Primal Chaos City leader was still anxious. That would be much better, he said. However, can your remote ocean body actually resist it? Don't worry, teacher. If we really need to consume our godly power, that'll be my biggest advantage. Even if they consume all their godly power, my remote ocean body will still have left, said Luo Feng confidently. As for other factors, I haven't taken them into account yet, but I have Star Tower, so I believe I can perform it. Primal Chaos City leader was still frowning and worried. Luo Feng's plan was too crazy. He could die. No need to rush it. We need to test it first, said Primal Chaos City leader. We'll test it first. If you think it's okay, we'll implement it. In Primal Chaos City leader's mind, he had the best chance to become a Universe Supreme Master, followed by Luo Feng. And Luo Feng was the only inheritor of Duandong River inheritance, so he might have had a better chance to transcend incarnations in the future. He couldn't put Luo Feng's life in danger, even if that meant retreating back to the primal universe. Okay, let's test it first. I'll call the other Universe Masters. Primal Chaos City leader nodded. All the Universe Masters from the human team gathered on the same day. There were over 100 Universe Masters there, and they took part in the test. Afterward, Primal Chaos City leader went to talk to Teacher Origin, and he confirmed with Luo Feng again. Great. We've tested it, you're confident enough, and Teacher Origin thinks it's a good idea. Primal Chaos City leader nodded. His eyes were gleaming. These days, the Ancestral God School, the Space Beast Alliance, the Lone Universe Supreme Masters, and the Freedom Alliance are being too greedy, especially the Freedom Alliance. They want a response. We'll give them a response. Primal Chaos City leader smiled. Luo Feng smiled, too. Teacher, it could get better. We'll let them choose whether they want to help us or the Alliance, said Primal Chaos City leader. He had been hesitant before. After all, if they actually retreated back to the primal universe, the human race would develop much more slowly in the future. It was a tough choice to make. Even though Luo Feng's plan sounded crazy, it was achievable in the original universe. They had tested it with the 100 Universe Masters, and they had talked about it with Teacher Origin and other Universe Masters from the human race. Everyone had agreed with the new plan in the end. They would fight to the end. Ancestral God Secret Region, inside Ancestral God Palace. 3 Ancestral Gods, 8 Beast Gods, guarding Beast Gods, and guarding Godly Masters had gathered. None of them belonged to the human team, the United Forces Alliance, or the Freedom Alliance. Instead, they all belonged to the Ancestral God School, and almost everyone was a special life form. Everyone. 3 ancestral gods sat in the thrones in the palace. The one in the middle had a ferocious beast head, and his hair each strand as thick as a finger drooped. His eyes were green, and he said, "The humans gave us a response." The Universe Masters, including 9 Remoteness Master, were all looking forward to the response. The response is simple. They'll only give us the guide to become Universe Supreme Masters. That's the only price they're willing to pay. All the Universe Masters were shocked that the humans were still so stubborn even in a situation as difficult as this. "We had 2 requirements," said a giant fish with a black body. "The first one is the inheritance on how Universe Masters can become Universe Supreme Masters. The second is how to reach the limit of Universe Supreme Masters." "The humans don't agree to the second one." "Ancestral gods," said 9 Remoteness Master. "The humans only agreed to the first one. With no further negotiations. That is their bottom line," said the central ancestral god. Everyone grew quiet. Decide whether we're joining the humans or not, said the central ancestral god. On the same day, an island floated on the golden waves. On the island, more than 400 universe masters sat on thrones. The beings who had gathered were all powerful, and space and time twisted around them as they gathered. This was the first power of the original universe, the Freedom Alliance. They were waiting for humans' response as well. The representative from the human race had just left. The response was very straightforward. We're willing to give you the inheritance about how to advance from Universe Masters to Universe Supreme Masters, and this is the best we can offer. There should be no more negotiation. This was the only response. And it was up to the Freedom Alliance to decide whether they were going to join the humans or not. More than 400 great beings from the Freedom Alliance gathered at the center of the alliance. I bet you've all learned about the humans' response, Shahua Island leader said. Even those who weren't there when the representative came must have heard about it now, after talking with other universe masters. Now that we know their response, I am open to suggestions as to how we should proceed. Some of the ill-tempered universe masters roared in response. The humans are too reckless and arrogant. They didn't even show any respect for us. The Freedom Alliance is the most powerful alliance in the universe. Without our help, they can't survive in the original universe. What do they gain for being so reckless? They don't even have a way open to retreat. Don't they want to survive? Since the formation of Freedom Alliance, the members had felt that they were in a different status in the original universe. They weren't as weak as before, instead, they were the powerful Freedom Alliance. They thought that humans would definitely agree to their terms, so they all got furious when the humans rejected them. Some universe masters started to talk with each other. Night Flame, what do you think? Actually, we've been stuck at the level of universe masters for a long time, so becoming universe supreme masters is what we most desire. As for limit universe supreme masters, that's too far from us. Actually, Shahua Island leader is the one who most desires to become a limit universe supreme master. To us, the conditions offered by humans are satisfying already. I think so, but Shahua has a huge influence on our alliance, so he won't just say yes easily. True. Besides, some of the races that were bullied by pinnacle races and those really confident also stand by Shahua Island leader. Shahua Island leader sat listening to the debate. He glanced across all the 400-something universe masters sitting close to each other and thought, the Freedom Alliance is huge, but lots of races are actually enemies of one another. The only reason they came together is that they were pressured by both sides. Actually, there are too many races and divisions in the alliance. Some of the races are too progressive and confident. Some are fearful, and they still look up to pinnacle races like before and don't want to wrong them. Some are mature. Some are sneaky. It's difficult for them to follow me. I need to get them on my side this time, and we have to force the humans to give us the inheritance to become limit universe supreme masters. They talked about it for half a month, yet nobody could convince anybody. Universe masters all had long lives, and this was a crucial time for them. There were way too many races in the Freedom Alliance, and some had been enemies for a long time. Even Shahua Island leader couldn't keep them under control. Shahua Island leader rarely spoke during this time. Instead, he'd been observing. Many universe masters are ambitious. The Freedom Alliance is a powerful alliance, so lots of universe masters want to control this power. Like the Northern Territory Alliance. The Alliance Master didn't have any rights. Instead, Star River Master, Black Lotus Master, and Shen Landstar Master had the executive power. Some Universe Masters were ambitious and wanted to marginalize Shahua Island leader so he would be a leader in name only. Shahua Island leader wouldn't just let his power go like that. The debate showed how serious the power struggle was among the divisions and races within the Freedom Alliance. There was an independent mountain at the top of Space God Mountain named Ancestral Mountain. There, space and time were twisted, and the electric snake was crawling. A giant being showed up on Ancestral Mountain. Humans, how ambitious they are. Space Beast Ancestor said in a furious voice. How should we decide, Ancestor? Ancestor, We'll force those humans to give us the inheritance. We need to show them what we're capable of. The universe masters gathered, and they were all furious. They hadn't expected that the humans would dare to give a response like that. Teacher Origin was born among the humans, so they're proud of themselves, said Space Beast Ancestor slowly. And now, Luo Feng has received the inheritance from Duandong River. How can they not be ambitious? Do you really think they'll give away the inheritance to the limit power that easily? I thought they would have given us because they're in a desperate situation. Yet they still refused to give us. Space Beast Ancestor was furious. He thought he was no stranger to Luo Feng, and Luo Feng was one of the top seniors in the human race. On top of that, he had gone to talk to Luo Feng directly. He had thought the humans would definitely give him the experience of how to become Limit Universe Supreme Masters. However, the humans had still refused, and they were only willing to give them the experience of how to become Universe Supreme Masters. What should we do, Ancestor? We can't let the humans off the hook like that. Ancestor. The space beasts were all roaring. They were naturally bloodthirsty with great pride, and they were very disappointed that the humans wouldn't agree to all the requirements they made. No need to rush yet, said Space Beast Ancestor. It's not the time to make a choice yet. I know humans. Even if they resort to retreating back to the original universe, they won't give out the inheritance. We need to wait for our chance. When the humans are finally in despair, they'll panic, and if they still refuse to give us the inheritance, we'll join the alliance and make things worse for them. Okay. Humans, roared the space beasts. They may have been friends with some universe masters from other races, but when it came to the benefits of an entire race, they would definitely stand by their race's side. Luo Feng had lots of friends as well, yet he still stood by the humans. Survival in wars could be cruel. The human race gave a response to the Freedom Alliance, the Ancestral God School, the Space Beast Alliance, and the Lone Universe Supreme Masters. No powers were completely satisfied. Human territory, primal secret region. Luo Feng stood above Thousand Treasures River, and Darkness Master was beside him. Some of them must be very disappointed at our responses, said Luo Feng. However, they're facing a choice. If they choose the United Forces Alliance, they might not get any inheritance even if they win the war. If they choose us, they can at least get part of the inheritance. Darkness Master nodded. That's right, so it won't be too bad. Some powers will choose us, at least. Yes. Luo Feng nodded. If we actually lose the war, even if we slow down, we'll prosper after a time. That's right. Primal Chaos City leader was confident. Go. Luo Feng waved his hands, and a 9-level tower flew out from his palm in the center of Thousand Treasures River. Larger, 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 commanded Luo Feng, controlling Star Tower. Star Tower grew larger and larger, taller and taller. 100 million kilometers, a billion kilometers, 10 billion kilometers. It stopped expanding after it nearly hit the palace where Luo Feng lived. Let's begin the arrangements, said Luo Feng. Let's go. I need to see it as well. This might be the only chance, as I see it. Darkness Master smiled. Luo Feng smiled. Let's go. They walked to the edge of the bottom of Star Tower. It bordered Luo Feng's palace. They flew into the palace and entered a quiet secret chamber. Inside, there was an exquisite sculpture on a wall that stood about 100,000 kilometers tall. These palaces were, after all, the homes of universe masters, so the palaces were massive. This quiet chamber for training was quite large. It was not unheard of for a wall to be 100,000 kilometers tall. The exquisite sculpture on it was actually a portal. The God Country portal was already established. Luo Feng pointed at the sculpture. This is the entry to my God Country. Let's go. Luo Feng took a step and touched the wall. After a ripple, Luo Feng entered, and Darkness Master entered as well. Mosha Body was guarding Star Tower, so it could easily control Star Tower. In the vast God Country, remote ocean was tumbling, and above it was a light screen. Two beings walked out, Luo Feng and Darkness Master. Is this your God Country? Darkness Master looked around and exclaimed, impressive. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. His god country had already hit its limit. It would become a miniature universe if it progressed a step further. There was no need for him to hide his god country anymore. This remote ocean body of yours, Darkness Master looked down at the endless remote ocean, and admiration flashed through his eyes. Impressive. With such a godly body, there will never be a shortage of godly power. It's just luck. Luo Feng smiled. For one thing, he transferred the soul of Golden Horned Beast to himself, and the blood he had chosen was the limit of what a Golden Horned Beast could bear. It wouldn't be able to breed it if it exceeded the limit. Also, he had the 9-volume manual, so he could gradually improve the genes of his Bloody Sea from the Prince level all the way to 9 Remoteness Masters level. Darkness Master shook his head. It's not just luck. Luo Feng smiled. I'll begin. Luo Feng looked at the endless remote ocean, and his mind started to control it. Suddenly, remote ocean started to tumble. The water surged and flew toward the light screen like a dragon. The tumbling remote ocean rushed toward the other end of the portal. Meanwhile, in the primal secret region, water from remote ocean flooded out from the sculpture in Luo Feng's training room. In the core ground of the primal secret region, the palaces of Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City Leader were scattered all over the area. Thousand Treasure River was rippling, and a 9-story tower that was several tens of billions of kilometers tall was being suspended right in the middle of Thousand Treasure River. Hey! A figure suddenly flew out from within the tower. He wore black all over and was looking down at the sight before him. Snow Sand Ocean. Moshe Luo Feng quickly took control of the situation. At one time, the boundless Snow Sand Ocean was rapidly moving to enshroud the surrounding area of around 10 billion kilometers, so naturally, the palace where Luo Feng resided, along with part of the base of Star Tower, would be enshrouded. The turbulent waters of remote ocean directly surged out of the palace where Luo Feng resided like a water dragon at a speed that was almost as fast as the speed of light. At the base of Star Tower, a side door adjacent to Luo Feng's palace opened. This side door was around 1 billion kilometers tall, so jets of ocean water columns surged in easily. Moshe Luo Feng was drifting about amidst the icy, snow-white sand grains with brows slightly furrowed. The water column has a diameter of 100,000 kilometers. Even if it charges over almost as fast as the light of speed, to turn the entire endless remote ocean around, I will still need a long, long time. Indeed, it would take an extremely long time. Until today, the diameter of the water column was only 100,000 kilometers, while the endless remote ocean was a massive ocean with a diameter of 80 billion kilometers. This water column continued erupting at the speed of light, yet even if the eruptions were still consistent after 1 year, it was still only a small part of the entire endless remote ocean. There were many universe masters whose godly bodies were not even 10,000 kilometers tall, but for this column of the ocean water of Luo Feng's endless remote ocean, even after 1 year of transportation, the remote ocean showed no trace of movement at all. This showed how vast it truly was. I still need to continue establishing God country transportation passageways, Moshe Body said to himself. Moshe Body was here while the original Earthling body was in God country. They both worked single-mindedly to start establishing stationary God country transportation passageways. Stationary God country transportation passageways were very common sights. Ordinary undying fighters such as the Emperor of Black Dragon Mountain Empire could also construct such stationary passageways. Or perhaps, to an ordinary undying, this might not be a small price. But to Luo Feng? Even if he were to construct 10,000 or even 1 million of such stationary transportation passageways, it would be something so simple and casual to him. Rise. Fix. Moshe Luo Feng pointed to one of the empty grounds on the courtyard of his palace. That area had an approximate diameter of 1 million kilometers, and the entire passageway speedily fixed and stabilized. A God country transportation passageway could be big or small. The smaller it was, the easier it was to construct, the bigger it was, the more stable it had to be, so the more difficult it was to construct. Especially when the God country transportation passageway continued to expand, the price to pay would soar accordingly. Luo Feng might own quite a sizable fortune, so it did not affect him at all, but he was also unwilling to waste too much of his fortune. When he was constructing the entrances of these God country transportation passageways, the largest diameter would normally be 1 million kilometers, and the smallest would be a few tens of thousands of kilometers. One after the other, passageways were established. Numerous water columns of remote ocean, be it immeasurably thick or extremely fine, surged and gushed toward that side door like thousands of horses galloping together at a high speed that could almost match the speed of light. That side door was, after all, as tall as 100 billion kilometers, so it could easily accommodate the impact of so many water columns of the remote ocean. However, as the number of passageways continued to increase, Star Tower was forced to expand further, and this expansion took place in all other directions possible. That was still acceptable. The space of the core ground was enormous. After all, Thousand Treasure River spread over an area of a few light years, which was a good measure of how vast and wide that space was. Star Tower continued to expand to hundreds of billions of kilometers tall, then continued expanding. Eventually, all the side doors and the deep abyss at the base of Star Tower opened to accommodate more and more ocean water flowing in from the remote ocean. Construct, construct, construct. Luo Feng was constructing without restraint. Too slow, too slow, too slow. He was also frustrated over how massive the endless remote ocean was. However, he could only continue to construct God country passageways painstakingly. As many as 1 million passageways fully occupied the surroundings of Luo Feng's palace grounds, and their total surface area added up to a diameter of 100 billion kilometers. Even so, within 3 days, the endless remote ocean was fully transported into Star Tower from God country. Within these 3 days, many great beings from various races, and even some undying fighters, sector lords, and guards of the human race were filled with doubts. Why would that endless snow-sand ocean envelop such a great piece of domain? Yet, even if they were dying of curiosity, there was no way they could seek comprehension. Within Star Tower, in a vast, individual space, the water of the endless remote ocean was flowing out. Luo Feng, Darkness Master, Primal Chaos City Leader, and Pengong Master were positioned above this space. I consider myself to have truly experienced this. Darkness Master sighed. These 3 days, I have stayed around and truly felt how massive this endless remote ocean is. With a passageway with a diameter as wide as 10,000 kilometers, even if you take 1 to 10 years to transport, or even up to 100 years, it would still be very far behind. If this was the transportation of my godly body, I don't even need the time for a blink of an eye. Primal Chaos City Leader laughed and said, otherwise, how could 9 Remoteness Masters' 9 Remoteness Ocean be considered comparable to a supreme true treasure? Because the other races were completely helpless against his 9 Remoteness Ocean, that's why it is worthy enough to be compared to a supreme true treasure. Pengong Master looked down with great envy. Such a massive godly body. It's overly massive. Moving it is tedious and difficult, Luo Feng said, mocking himself. You see, just moving it here from my god country has consumed so much of my strength. I've been constructing transportation passageways like crazy because I can only depend on these transportation passageways to gradually channel over the ocean water of the endless remote ocean. In fact, Luo Feng had been racking his brains for a solution on how to transfer the endless remote ocean over. Because the endless remote ocean could only move about in its entirety, and it moved so slowly that it was almost tortoise-like speed. In the beginning, Luo Feng had to bring Star Tower into God country. Then Star Tower was expanded to a massive size so that ocean water from the endless remote ocean could gush into Star Tower all at once. This would facilitate the transfer well. This was earlier on, when Luo Feng was still quite weak. He once had to depend on Star Tower to achieve such a transfer. However, that was when remote ocean was still small, and the level of its godly power was weak. But now, everything was different. Upon bearing the entire endless remote ocean, the speed at which Star Tower moved became ridiculously slow. Luo Feng felt overwhelmed by exhaustion. Even if the speed of movement was slow, making use of God country transportation passageway, it should be able to move fast. Yet the truth was, when Star Tower barely made it to the entrance of the God country transportation passageway, it caused the entire God country transportation passageway to collapse. The oppressive force exerted on Star Tower after bearing the endless remote ocean was simply overwhelming. God Country Transportation Passageway was too weak and fragile by comparison. There was no way it could accommodate a Star Tower that was bearing the endless remote ocean. Luo Feng was dumbfounded, too. Could it be there was no way he could transfer Star Tower that was bearing the endless remote ocean? Fortunately, Luo Feng recalled that he could establish more God Country transportation passageways so that the ocean water from the endless remote ocean water could directly flow through. This ocean water from the remote ocean was well suited for flowing. Naturally, it was fast and efficient. This made Luo Feng sigh in relief. Luckily, this took the form of ocean water. If this was a massive mountain range or a world tree or the likes of it, he would have worries such as whether he was able to construct a God Country transportation passageway that was so massive. No matter what, after painstakingly going through various hardships, he finally managed to move endless remote ocean from the primal secret region into Star Tower with the use of God Country transportation. Then Luo Feng stored snow sand ocean and everything resumed peace and quiet. Those great beings from various other races were filled with doubts, but still, they were unaware of what happened over the past 3 days. Following this, the human race started a long and slow wait. Various methods were in place. They were just pending the replies of the various groups of powers. The Ancestral God School has promised to join the human camp. The Ancestral God School has requested that we give them a part of that guidance first. Then, after the war, we will give the other part. All right. Ha. With the Ancestral God School joining the human camp, it will be equivalent to gaining 3 more 6th tier as the top-level combat powers. And the Ancestral God School has 2 supreme true treasures. The moment they heard this piece of news, the sea of humans was a scene of jubilation. On the contrary, the United Forces camp was in a rage when they learned of the news. The internal disagreements within the Freedom Alliance went on. When they heard that Ancestral God School had chosen to join the human camp, these disagreements within the alliance grew even more heated. Updates arrived successively. Black Universe Creator has decided to join the United Force camp. Northern Territory Alliance Master has decided to join the United Force camp. Eju is joining United Force camp. Virtual Real Devil God is joining United Force camp. The humans might be feeling bouts of pressure, but they continued to prepare themselves. Since the humans had no intentions of giving out information on cultivating to reach the ultimate limit of a Universe Supreme Master, it was a fact that these Supreme Masters who traveled alone were not going to help the humans. On the other hand, the United Force camp was rejoicing. At that very moment, the division of powers between the two sides was gradually coming to light. Other than Sitting Mountain Guest, Demon Beast Ancestor, and a few other great beings who had not made their stand yet, the majority of the groups of powers had already announced their decisions. Now, only the Space Beast Alliance and Freedom Alliance had yet to make their final choice. The Space Beast Alliance has sent its envoy here again. Quite an eloquent one. He even said that imparting them information on cultivating to reach the ultimate limit of a Universe Supreme Master will not affect the overall situation that the primal universe is in. Through the conversation, it is so obvious that there is a hint of a threat, and apparently, this Space Beast Alliance is also contemplating whether or not it should join the United Force camp. There is no need to bother about him. Now, the Freedom Alliance's decision is our greatest concern. Right now, within the entire primal universe, various groups of races were all looking toward the Freedom Alliance. It was the most important source of strength, especially with the United Forces camp's increase in ability, which had already surpassed the human camp's power by leaps and bounds. But the moment the Freedom Alliance decided to help the humans, then no matter what, the United Forces camp was destined for failure. Fight. The internal disagreements within the Freedom Alliance were severe. The majority wanted to join the human camp. At least they could obtain the guidance from the cultivation experience of the ancient civilization on how they could cultivate to achieve the Universe Supreme Master level. The other part of the Freedom Alliance, including Shahua Island leader, wanted to pressure the humans into acquiescing to their demands. Otherwise, they would join the United Forces camp as a way of threatening the humans. The differences between both parties, especially when the situation within the entire primal universe eventually depended on their decisions, became even more serious. The more aggressive party headed by Shahua Island leader and the more stable party that consisted of the various other groups were engaged in an extremely intense fight against one another. It was the third month since the endless remote ocean had entered Star Tower. Luo Feng. Teacher. Luo Feng met with Primal Chaos City leader. Come over to Earth as fast as you can, Primal Chaos City leader requested. The avatar of the Alliance Master of the Freedom Alliance, Shahua Island leader, has landed on Earth this very moment. Landed on Earth? Luo Feng frowned. Yes. He is here alone to negotiate with us humans. Primal Chaos City leader was very solemn as he continued. Because we have many great beings of various races in our primal secret region right now, he is unwilling to disclose his identity. Therefore, the venue for negotiations will be on Earth. Seems like Shahua Island leader intends to help the human camp. Alone. Luo Feng seemed to have an inkling of what was going on. What teacher means to say is that he is not representing the Freedom Alliance, but representing only himself. Primal Chaos City leader nodded slightly. All right, I will go and meet up with him. Luo Feng nodded. The individual being sent for negotiations was a clear reflection of the degree of importance. Currently, within the human camp, the ones of the highest status would be Primal Chaos City leader, Luo Feng, Darkness, and Peng Gong. Out of these four, the status of Primal Chaos City leader and Luo Feng were of higher importance. This video will end here.